Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 20th episode of the Best Phone Plans Podcast. Today, Stetson and I are planning to talk about the Apple event, Dish's partnership with Amazon, as well as Comcast releasing new cell phone plans and testing out DOCSIS 4.0.
I think it's going to be a great episode. Dennis and I are here hanging out, talking tech and plans as usual. Dennis, I think we should start, as you mentioned, with the Apple event. Apple, of course, had an event on April 20th, 4/20, and they announced a bunch of new products here. We got AirTags, we got Apple TV 4K, we got Imacs, we got kind of a new iPhone, and we got iPad Pro. Dennis, where do you want to start with this? I feel like, all the products are exciting, some more relevant than others for our audience. But yeah, is there a particular order? Should we just kind of start at the top here?
Yeah, I was thinking about talking about that sweet, juicy new iPad.
Okay. Yeah, let's maybe start with that. That's probably one of the biggest items I feel like for our audience and maybe for everyone. So this is the new iPad Pro.
Do you want to put that on the screen, by the way?
Well, it's a podcast, so
true.
So I'm not going to put it on, but we'll talk about it maybe in the after show after the podcast where the audience can check it out, or you can Google it. Maybe we'll throw some links in the show notes. But basically, iPad Pro, it looks the same as the current generation, but what we have is Apple took their Apple-designed M1 processor, system on a chip, and they took it from their Mac lineup, and they put it in their iPad Pro. So that was pretty huge. And Dennis, what else did the iPad get?
Finally got 5G wireless.
It finally got 5G connectivity, and I was actually really impressed. It had all of the band support that you would expect, right? So what is this going to work on?
Literally everything. Millimeter wave, mid-band, low band. T-Mobile's having a party right now, man. Apple's supporting the whole layer cake stack. So it's super exciting. But no, the big thing from this event was Apple is really pushing hard into that new M1 chip. They literally have put it into every one of their product stack. They got it in the MacBook Pros, they got it in the new iMacs, and they brought it to the iPad, which is super exciting. I am hoping and praying that they do some type of overhaul to the operating system for iPads so that you can start doing like Final Cut Pro or something on that bad boy. Could you imagine that?
That is, yeah, it'd be crazy. It has the horsepower. You literally have a laptop that can run Final Cut Pro and it's running Mac OS. The iPad has the same processor. It could do it. It has the horsepower. The only limitation is software. Dennis, what do you think Apple is going to do? Are they going to make Mac OS like a touchscreen? Are they going to revamp iPad OS? What do you think their direction is?
I don't know, to be honest. Apple has this tendency for keeping their product stack separate. So you got your Pro line that's meant for people that do work, and then you got your regular line for people that are students and stuff, and then they got their tablet line for people that like to consume and not really create. I'm not really sure where they're going to go with this, but if we were to look at other companies like Google, for example, what you typically see is they kind of go into this one ecosystem, right? Google has been trying to get away from Android and Chrome OS being separate things, and they're trying to make one new consistent product experience that works across all products. And maybe Apple does something similar.
Yeah, I'm just having a hard time. I think on one hand, the iPad is a very distinct category. It's touchscreen, it's a tablet, you can interact with it with the Apple Pencil. And on the other hand, it's also so limited. iPad OS, I really dislike it. I was using it on my iPad, trying to write scripts in Google Docs. Selecting text is a nightmare. I find multitasking to be cumbersome and time-consuming. Got to tap and drag applications to the either side of your screen. Whereas when I'm using a Mac, I'm using keyboard shortcuts. I'm having windows fly all over the place. I'm switching tabs, switching apps so much faster than on my iPad. So I feel that the product is insane. It's so powerful. It's the most powerful tablet in the industry right now. And it's just limited by software. We had someone actually in the comments of this live stream on YouTube saying that WWDC will have the answers. I think they're right. I think we're waiting on Apple to release iOS 15 to really show us, actually it'll be iPadOS 15, to show us the direction they want to see iPad going in. Right now, I'm a little confused. It's got the hardware rather, but it's lacking in the software department to really take it to that next level.
Which, isn't that hilarious that we're saying that?
It's so weird.
Like, Apple was always known for their great software, poor hardware. They really flipped the coin on this. I mean, even the last iPad Pro was light years ahead. I mean, the tablet industry as a whole is just not competitive. So Apple was already light years ahead. Now they literally got a full-blown, legit, like, computer on a chip inside this iPad. I'm actually going to be curious to see what the battery life looks like, too, by the way.
Yeah.
Because there was some huge battery life improvements. I mean, the iPad actually has a bigger battery that's inside than what's inside the MacBooks.
Whoa. And you pair that with the M1 chip, which sips battery. It's not very power hungry at all. You could be looking at easily all-day battery life, maybe even like 2-day battery life.
And also just throwing this out here, I would be curious to see what game developers end up doing with this.
Oh, man. Oh, this is a side tangent, but did you see, I think it's Microsoft's cloud gaming is now available on PC and iOS devices via the browser.
Yes, so I did see that.
You will be able to play on your tablet.
Yeah, I think everybody's kind of doing that. Although, honestly, I wish Apple would stop being so monopolistic and just let them be in the App Store.
I completely agree with you, Dennis. Yeah, but it is what it is. What did you think of the display on this new iPad, specifically the 12.9-inch model?
So that was the mini LED thing?
Yeah,
right?
So Apple called it's a liquid retina XDR display. And this is, Dennis, get this. This is a mini LED display with 10,000 mini LEDs backlighting this thing. It's got 2,500 local dimming zones, 1,000 nits average peak brightness, and 1,600 nits of peak brightness for HDR content. And it's also running at 120 hertz. Dennis, this display is probably the best display Apple has ever made, save for maybe their Pro Display XDR.
I am super excited about it. I mean, we were talking TVs before, and I was excited about the tech. But on the same token, I'm also curious to know if I'll notice a real difference on a screen of that size.
Yeah, my question, so I love it. I'm with you. I think this is incredible. Who is this for? Who needs that kind of color accuracy, high refresh rate, saturation, and brightness on an iPad? I'm not color grading on an iPad.
Graphic designers.
Well, are you graphic designing on an iPad? I feel like you're more likely to use an iMac, a 5K iMac or something.
I would, if I was a graphic designer, I'd probably use an actual like commercial product that was developed for that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. iPad is weird, man. Like, they got all these nice puzzle pieces that have the potential to do incredible things, but they don't have it all fit together yet. Like, they're not tying it all together nicely, and that's where the software comes in, right? I mean, technically speaking, this tablet could be the dream for graphic designers and art students and stuff like that. I mean, the Apple Pencil is incredibly powerful, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's huge. It's low latency, accurate. It's got angle and pressure sensitivity. It's really cool.
And this thing would be the college student's like dream. It's light. It's small. It's easy to take places. It's got lots of storage. Didn't they bump the storage up to like what, 1 terabyte?
So I think it starts. Oh man, I don't know what it starts. I want to say it starts at 128 gigs because that's what it should start at. Dennis is looking that up right now. But I'm sorry,
it can be purchased up to 2 terabytes.
2 terabytes of storage. And Dennis, get this, you can configure this thing to have 16 gigs of RAM. Okay? Yeah. This is literally a laptop that's just a tablet.
Dude, it's better than most laptops. 2 terabytes of 2 terabytes of solid state storage like that.
Unreal. Dennis, what is that running you though? If you were to buy this iPad Pro, you're looking at a 12.9, or are you looking at the 11?
I didn't look at a price point. I'm going to be honest. I'm not sure.
So we'll do starting price. It starts at $800 for the 11-inch iPad Pro. This does not have the new display upgrades. And the iPad Pro 12.9-inch, which does get that new Liquid Retina XDR display.
$2,400.
It starts at $1,100, and as Dennis said, $2,400 if you want to spec it out with a 2 terabyte SSD. So
I mean, that's actually not bad, because
it's not bad.
If you think, well, let me rephrase that. It's not bad for Apple. But if you think about it for a second, the MacBook Pros, I mean, this is literally better hardware than what's in the MacBook Pros, right? I mean, because
It's
you're literally
the same, I would say. I mean, the
no,
screen is better.
I'm saying it's better because you get the 5G wireless baked in. The MacBook Pro doesn't have
Oh, Dennis, I love that take. Dude, I love that take.
This thing is truly has the potential, like I said, like, honestly, I don't know why they didn't do this for the MacBook Pro. They should have, if they're going to do this, they should have baked in 5G wireless across their whole product stack.
Yeah, I think I saw someone tweeting about it. Maybe it was Sasha, and I think he was saying that Apple just doesn't want to purchase any more Qualcomm modems. And so they're like, the iPad needs it. It's been expected. It's standardized. They've done it before. Okay, they're putting in 5G for that. I think they're waiting until they can create their own modems to put those into Mac. That's my guess based on what Sasha was saying. We'll have to wait and see. I'm bummed though. You're right, man. Like 5G on a MacBook would be flabbergasting.
I have a question for you.
Shoot.
What carrier would you want to use that nice sweet 5G on? Would you pick T-Mobile?
That's a great question. I kind of like, leading with T-Mobile. Honestly, probably. I would do it because I feel like I would more frequently connect to T-Mobile's band N41 and get faster speeds than I would connect to Verizon ultra wideband, and I can actually use T-Mobile N41 versus ultra wideband. Like, yes, I can get gigabit speeds, but like, what am I doing with that on an iPad? You know.
But have you looked at their tablet plans?
No, Dennis. What are the? Is it 20? What are the tablet plans?
So if you want to get 30 gigabytes of tablet data,
Yep.
it's gonna basically run you about $50.
That's kind of expensive. Maybe I would just grab a US mobile SIM, pop it in, and call it a day. Like US Mobile and Verizon.
I'm curious to see. I'm just really quickly looking at Magenta Max and what I think it's what $20 to add on a tablet line.
Yeah.
If you have Magenta Max.
So
right?
I feel like I would do that. I would just add a tablet line onto Magenta Max.
But what are the caveats? I'm pretty sure it doesn't get treated like a phone, right? Doesn't it have like a video?
You might be right. It's treated differently. Dennis,
Yeah.
you look that up. I'll talk about some other key specs you're looking at here. So both versions, both 11-inch and 12.9, are getting 5G. They both have Wi-Fi 6. They have a new 12-megapixel ultra-wide front-facing camera. And this has a really cool feature called Center Stage, where if you're making a FaceTime or video call to someone else, it will actually track you through the frame and kind of crop in on your location. Maybe you're moving around, so it'll follow you. On the back, you still have the 12-megapixel wide angle and a 10-megapixel ultra-wide angle camera, and you do have a LiDAR sensor for augmented reality and whatever else it's doing there. And the other big thing is to bring it up to spec. The USB-C charging port is now a full-fledged Thunderbolt 3 port, so you can connect it to a bunch more accessories and use it in new ways. And there is a new white Magic Keyboard to complement your iPad Pro. All right, Dennis, hit us with the facts.
All right, so for a normal Magenta tablet line, you get unlimited data, unlimited texting, which is weird, but okay.
Yeah, number one feature I want on my tablet.
And then your streaming video is DVD quality 480p.
Okay.
And you get 3G mobile hotspot speeds.
And it's just the same. You would get 50 gigs of priority as you would on on a phone. You get 50 gigs on a tablet. You'd also get 50 gigs.
Yeah, that's what it looks to appear like.
Okay.
And then with the Magenta Plus tablet add-on, because they haven't updated to Max apparently, it's a Plus Up add-on upgrade. You get 20 or 30 gigabytes of 4G LTE mobile hotspot, and they word it whichever you choose in the US. So
That's very weird. I think I've talked to them about this, and Dennis, you've brought up a future video topic, but please continue.
Yeah, so that's odd. And then you do get unlimited HD streaming while in the US, but requires activation to get the HD streaming.
Classic.
And you get unlimited 2G data roaming in 210 destinations.
Okay. They didn't really talk about the domestic priority data, it sounds like. Like, it's just, I would assume it's the same, maybe 50 gig threshold, and or with Magenta Max, it would be unlimited.
For the small fraction of customers using greater than 50 gigs, majority of data must be on tablet. Data usage is prioritized over tethering usage. Yeah, they don't say if it's priority. I mean,
I would assume it's the same as the plan and or the 50 gigs.
I guess what I'm getting at is that T-Mobile's tablet plans aren't that good, in my opinion.
You don't think so?
I think AT&T has the better tablet plans. They're much more straightforward about it. You got Max, it's boom, it's this. Like, here it is.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think T-Mobile's network has me excited. That's why, like, if I were to get a 5G iPad, I would want to be able to use some N41 here and there, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to that age-old question, right? Great network, bad plan, or awesome network?
Yeah.
You know?
So I think you just brought up a whole topic. Like, I'm going to have to dive deep into the best tablet plans for this new iPad Pro. That was not the only thing at this event, though, Dennis. So you want to touch on something else? What are we talking about next?
Yeah, let's talk about the, what do they call it? Apple not stickers, tracker. What did they call the trackers, man?
AirTags.
Yeah, what were your thoughts on that, man?
I like it. It's a super simple product. The AirTag is basically a tile tracker. Okay, it's got Bluetooth. I think it's got Wi-Fi in it, and it's got the U1 chip, or it'll work with the U1 chip in your iPhone for precision location, and you can tell like how many feet you are away from your device. It's got a year-long battery life with a user-replaceable battery, and starts at $29 for one and $100 for four. I thought it was a super simple product. It's not exciting to some degree, but it's also just clean and I think going to work well. Dennis, what were your thoughts when you heard about this getting announced?
Thought it was cool. My level of excitement for it was about that when Samsung said they were going to do something similar. I watched a review video from MKBHD where like he was doing a little review on it. I like that they use like a typical battery that's pretty standard. I like that it has like a year of battery life. That's cool. But when MKBHD was doing like a talk about it, he was saying it scratches pretty easily. Like I'm
okay with that. I mean, it's a tile. It's not. I don't need it in pristine condition. I need it to track my gear.
I just meant like it doesn't seem like it's like holding up as nicely as a tile is what I'm trying to get at. Like it's a weird shape basically. Like it's not. Yeah. I don't know. If I was gonna get one of these products, I wouldn't want to buy Apple. Like I would buy a tile so I could use it with anything. Like I wouldn't want the Apple thing. But I do think it's an incredible product for people that are really deep into the Apple ecosystem. And
Sounds good.
I think it's pretty smartly designed if you're in that ecosystem.
Yeah, I think quickly we can go over the Apple TV. There's a new Apple TV.
Actually, that is something I'm excited about because it's been like 2 years since they refreshed it.
It's been a long time. And the new one, so it's got the A12 processor, which was
Same
first
as the XS.
Yeah, the 10S. New Siri Remote. Dennis, what'd you think of this remote? It's redesigned. It's got like a iPod click wheel. What'd you think?
Dude, the remote was so needed because that other one was terrible. Like,
That's
honestly, this new remote might be the best new streaming remote for like a streaming TV. I love that they brought back the little scroll thing from like the iPods of yestertime. Like, dude, my first iPod had that spinny wheel, and it's genius. Like, it's really smart. I'm glad they got the more powerful processor in there because if they're going to charge that premium price point, you don't want something laggy. And I'm excited for the fact that they are going to be supporting the high refresh rate streaming, the 120 hertz it's going to be capable of, and all the improvements that it's going to be making. If I didn't get the new Roku Ultra, I would have probably thought about getting that, to be honest.
Yeah, what I love about Apple TV is it has native frame rate output. So whatever the frame rate your content was shot in, if it's a movie at 24 frames per second or a YouTube video at 30 frames per second, it will output those exact frames over HDMI, which your TV can then display typically in a 1-to-1 frame rate ratio. Whereas with pretty much all other streaming devices, they're outputting at 60 frames per second, even if the content was shot in like 24 and there's like weird conforming and you're deleting frames and sometimes adding frames. So I appreciate that with Apple. It's starting at $179, so $180 for 32 gigs and $200 for 64 gigs. So it's definitely kind of expensive, but if you're in the Apple ecosystem,
but...
yeah,
I mean, Roku's most premium product is $100, and Google's most premium product is $50.
So it's astronomically expensive.
Yeah. About the whole streaming thing, are you sure Roku doesn't do that? Like, are you sure Roku doesn't?
I probably have like 90% confidence in that. I know like all the Chromecasts are outputting, I think it's at 60, and I know any like even built into the TV streaming software is also at 60. So from my research, the Apple TV was the only product that did that. And
that's odd, because I know Roku, if you read like the back of the box, it tells you all the different like, 720p at 24, 30, 60, 1080p, and it repeats and rinses and repeats. And I know when you set up the Roku, it auto detects. Like I had to go in, and I told you I had to go to my external HDMI settings to enable and enhance so it would support HDR10 over HDMI.
Maybe it does.
I mean, it would be odd if it didn't.
I think it's odd that the other ones don't. That's
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's odd that if it wouldn't at this point. But I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, I won't lie. It's a cool product. I don't know why you would need 64 gigs of storage for a streaming box, though.
That's a good point. I use 0 gigs of storage on all of my streaming devices because I'm streaming the show.
Well, I mean, your apps would use some, but I'm just saying, like, I think I want to say my Android Smart TV comes with like 16 gigs of storage for the OS and all the apps you could possibly download. And I want to say like Roku has ones that are like come with like 4 gigs or something small.
You don't need it. I mean, you run software and you stream stuff. Maybe if you wanted to load a library of movies on it, but I don't know. I don't think it's necessary, as you said. So
I would much rather them cut the storage down or do. Like, I just want to know why they're charging the price they're charging. Like, I can't understand why Apple can't get that down to like a nice $100.
Oh, it's so good.
Charge $100 for make that 32 gig version like 16 gigs. Charge $100 for it. Call it a day, and now you're right in line, and you're the best streaming box at that category as far as performance. There you go.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Well, let's move on. We also had the new Imacs. I don't think we need to spend too much time on this. They're not really super relevant to our show, but what you need to know, new design, new colors, controversial. I'll just say that. Look them up online.
What's controversial about it?
Oh, man. They have a white bezel around the display, right? Why would you want a white bezel around your display? And it's not like a thin bezel. It's a chonker. So, I don't know. There's that. And then it still has a really thick chin. Like they could have, I don't know, had a very uniform, symmetrical bezel around the whole iMac and gotten rid of the chin and put the components behind the display. There's an idea. So,
I mean, look, if you're buying an iMac, you're making a mistake.
I don't know. I actually think they're a decent value because they come with a 4.5K display that's color accurate, really nice, 24 inches. You're getting pretty good built-in speakers, built-in camera, which is now, I think it's full 1080p HD camera, and you have upgraded microphones. I think it's a decent all-in-one system, but I'm not personally a fan of the color. Dennis, you disagree. What do you think is bad about it?
Well, I mean, I'm not arguing with the screen thing. I think it's great. In fact, I think if Apple just sold the monitor as was, they'd make way more profit.
Oh, that would be incredible. I'd buy like 3 of those.
But all-in-ones are a terrible purchase because it's technology. You're going to need to upgrade at some point, or something's going to go wrong and you're going to need to fix it. And they're a pain to fix, and you can't upgrade them because Apple solders literally everything to the board.
Yeah.
So that's no bueno. It's very expensive. Granted, I know we're going through a chip shortage right now. So, I mean, it would be kind of expensive to build a PC, but let's just assume the world gets back to some form of normalcy. You'd be much better off building a computer like I did with mine that you can't see. You know what? I'm going to be like that, and you can upgrade that as much as you want, and you're going to end up spending less money over time. And then you could just literally get like a nice monitor from like LG. Get a nice 4K LG monitor. You'll be glorious and golden, and you'll be happy and thanking yourself that you did. And everything that's important that gets done in the work world happens on Windows. So
I can see that as a fair point. I think some people will like the iMac. I don't know. I think like if you're gonna buy a 4K display, I think you're typically looking around $500 to $600. So I think Apple's 4.5K display, take $400 to $500 off. You're basically looking at the cost of a M1 Mac Mini. I think it's a decent value for an Apple product. But Dennis, to your point, you can just build something for PC. And
I mean, if you want an Apple product, get the Mac Mini, and then get your own screen. Don't get the two.
Sure. I
mean, how much are they charging for the iMac again, man?
iMac starts at $1,300.
$1,300.
Yeah. So if you take off $600 for a display, you're looking at $700 starting price, and that's about what the M1 Mac Mini costs. So actually, I don't think it's a terrible value proposition. Granted, the Mac Mini does have way more I/O. Okay, the M1 iMac just has up to 2 Thunderbolt ports and up to 4 total USB-C ports. They took away the SD card reader, which is awful, and they moved the headphone jack to the side of the iMac, which I'm not personally a big fan of, but some people seem to like.
So Stetson, are you going to buy one?
100% not. I was bummed, Dennis, because I'm an iMac user myself for my editing and workflow. But when I saw this new design, I love my black display aluminum iMac so much more now. It just has a classic look to it now.
So I'm just going to let you know, if I was going to go down the MacBook world, I would get myself a MacBook Pro, and then I'd get myself a nice dock.
That's the move.
And then basically have my monitors, like separate monitors hooked up, and then that way I can bring it and do what I want to do on the go. I know people that have done similar setups, and at least for actually Ben Boxer did a setup like that.
No, 100%. I mean, you nailed it. Like that's the ultimate setup right there. And I mean, you're right. Other problems with the iMac, the Ethernet port was moved to the power adapter, which is just a weird move. It has a power adapter now that's external, also a weird move. My iMac, everything's internal. And there's no more user swappable RAM, which stinks. With my iMac, I bought it with 8 gigs and then upgraded it to 64 gigs using Otherworld computing. Just bought some RAM, popped it in there. I was good to go. So yeah, I don't like, for me personally, the iMac wasn't a big win, but I know some people are excited about it.
I just can't. I think they make good. I think they make decent laptops, with the exception of the keyboard issue for those past couple generations.
Yeah,
I just can't get behind their desktop classes of like workstations. Like they're just not. They haven't been good. Like their Pro moniker for the Pro stations, they're not Pro. They don't have anything a Pro would want as far as like maintenance and commercial needs are concerned. They force you to go. I mean, Linus, whenever he broke his MacBook, remember?
Yeah.
It was impossible to like get that thing fixed, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, you bring it to an Apple store and they basically give you a new machine. It's like how they fix it typically.
And that's
or they'll
not,
replace the entire logic board.
But that's like not what a business wants, right? Like if there's a problem, if there's downtime, I want that thing to be able to be fixed on site with my local IT staff in a matter of like 45 minutes.
Sure.
Right? Because like time is money, right?
Time is money.
But overall, Apple event, I'm glad they did it. The most exciting thing from it, and I think the audience will agree, is the iPad. That's what I'm super excited about seeing. And I was also excited about the Apple TV. I'm glad it got a refresh. It was definitely needed. In fact, I'm glad they're selling the remote separately for people that have the older ones, because that remote is so much better.
$60, and it's grippier. It's more ergonomic. It looks great.
But let's talk about what Comcast did recently.
Oh, yeah. Wait, one more thing.
Oh.
You can now buy the iPhone 12 in purple.
Oh.
That's it. Okay, Dennis, let's move on.
All right. So, Stetson, do you know what Comcast did recently?
So, Dennis, I have absolutely no idea. I mean, they did a couple things recently, I feel like. Where would you like to start?
So Comcast just announced some new cell phone plans, specifically new unlimited plans.
Yeah. So this is under their Xfinity mobile brand. Okay. And Dennis, what did we see change with these plans?
So prior to this update, Comcast used to not have a multi-line discount on their unlimited plan. Now, with the revision of their new plans, they do. So one line would be $45, 2 lines is $80, 3 lines is $100, and 4 lines is $120, with every line after $120 being only $20 to add.
Yeah. So you can actually add up to 10 lines on one account. Price drops to as low as $24 per line.
20.
You're 24. No, it's with everything. It says 24.
Are you looking? Where are you looking? Are you looking at the website or?
Yeah, I'm looking at the website right now.
Where do you see 24? I see 20.
Oh, so it's $20 to add a line, but once you add all 10 lines with the first 4 line pricing, the total comes out to $240 a month, and that breaks down to $24 per line.
I see what you're doing here. Okay, you're dividing the total cost. I understand
exactly.
now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I wasn't following. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I jumped. But yeah, I mean, this is for Xfinity customers like Dennis. What do you think when you saw this promotion go live?
I thought that this is literally a better version of Verizon's starter plan, and that if you're on Verizon and you don't care about the Hulu and stuff like that, that you should be picking this plan because they include the 5G at no extra charge. And I was actually watching a video of a person that was doing a review on these plans. He did a millimeter wave speed test. You do get the full speeds.
That is incredible. My question, this plan, as we know, it's unlimited, but you are throttled after 20 gigs to 1.5 megabits per second down, 750 kilobits per second up. My question is, if you're on millimeter wave, is that throttle still there? Like, could you be connected to millimeter wave, use 20 gigs, and then suddenly be capped at 1.5 megabits per second down?
I'm honestly not certain.
I would be really bummed if so.
My gut feeling would say no, because Verizon treats their 5G millimeter wave so differently, in the same way they lift like the HD cap, like you can actually stream 4K and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So my gut reaction says no, but I don't really know because I don't have millimeter wave Verizon around me to test that.
I want to try this out. I'm going to see if
plan.
I can make that happen.
Well, I mean, you could get it through me and I could send you a SIM card.
So, yeah, test it out, put it to the extremes. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, as you mentioned, it's a great plan. What we love about Xfinity Mobile is they support all the features, voice over LTE, Wi-Fi calling, which is huge, and you can add a tablet line or a smartwatch line to this plan. Although it should be noted for tablets, it's basically the full price. Like you could add a tablet or you could add a smartphone, and it's the same price. Starts at $45 for that one line.
A tablet actually, or excuse me, a smartwatch is only $10 to add.
Yeah.
So regardless of like lines, like it's just a $10 fee.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's actually not bad. Now the tablet though, it's like legit. Like you pay $10 tablet, and then you have to pay $45 a month on top of that.
I think it's just, a flat rate. Like you pay.
No, I'm looking at the website. It says for tablets, tablets are eligible for by the gig data and unlimited data.
Oh shoot,
Cellular
you're right.
tablets count as a line of service on your account, and then they give an example: $10 line fee plus $45 for the unlimited plan on a tablet. So $55 total for adding the tablet.
I don't like that as much.
Whereas the smartwatch is just a $10 fee.
I was thinking tablets were $10 to add it to like the buy the gig plan, and then per line for the unlimited. But I think you're right. It looks like it's $55 if you want it on the unlimited.
Yeah, I mean, if you're adding it to one of the gig plans, then it is just the $10. But
yeah, that's a much better value.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, these plans are exciting. They are very competitively priced for what they are and what they're targeting. I mean, as you said, there is a small caveat of the 20 gigabyte.
Yeah, but we also know that 82% of consumers out there aren't using over 20 gigs, so they'll be fine. It'll feel like an unlimited plan. All your services get bundled together, and it's overall actually a pretty good value on the Verizon network.
My big question for you is, though, Stetson, do you think this is better than what Visible's offering?
I would say no. I think Visible, it's just so cheap, and it still supports all the same features. Like, you're still getting Wi-Fi calling, you're still getting voice over LTE. Visible is eSIM, and I mean, the performance of Visible can sometimes be hit or miss just with that added latency sometimes. But really, I mean, I think the value's there. $25 is hard to beat.
How
That's my
about US
take.
Mobile?
I think US Mobile is definitely, but you have to have multiple lines. I think that's actually I think for single lines, because Xfinity Mobile has that cap.
It's the same pricing.
Yeah, but Xfinity Mobile 20 gigs and then you're throttled. US Mobile's true unlimited.
No, I know. You were talking about having multiple lines though with US Mobile. I was saying
Yeah.
the pricing is going to line up the same. So I'm asking like, who do you think's better? Because US Mobile doesn't support Wi-Fi calling.
They don't. I would still probably go with them for my personal needs.
Yeah, I would probably pick US Mobile as well. I'm just asking your thoughts.
Yeah.
But okay. So that was cool.
Cool little update.
Outside of that little plan update, though, there was something else that Comcast did recently. Do you know what that is, Stetson?
What else did they do, Dennis?
So Comcast just got done doing a test of their DOCSIS 4.0 tech, and they were able to obtain 4 gigabit symmetrical speeds over coax.
That's sweet. Dennis, I feel like this is your wheelhouse. Do you want to like take this one away? Like what does this mean for consumers? Like what is kind of DOCSIS 4.0? Like brief overview of that, and then like how is this going to impact us as consumers?
So basically, there is a big monster organization called Cable Labs, and they set specifications in the same way that there's a big organization that sets standards up for like LT and what gets to be called that and what's in the spec. DOCSIS 4.0 essentially has different flavors to it. There's something called full duplex, which basically allows you to use the same range of spectrum from, say, 0 to 750 megahertz for both your upstream and downstream connection. They've also added additional spectrum that wasn't used before. They're calling it extended DOCSIS something. So there's more spectrum available to be used. Anyway, getting super nerdy. Long story short, the new specification is going to allow for a theoretical max of 10 gig down and 6 gig up over coax, which is awesome. In the short term, it's going to mean absolutely nothing to us as consumers because it takes forever and a half to get things deployed. I mean, DOCSIS 3.1, which is just now finally starting to become like available to everybody, was released way back in 2013. And DOCSIS 3.1 still hasn't even reached the theoretical maximums of what was within its specification. So in the short term, it doesn't mean too much. But in the long term, it's super exciting because as we talked about on previous episodes on the show, it's very expensive to have infrastructure upgrades occur, like, say, fiber to the home. So at least they're finding a new way to really beat that dead horse and get some better speeds to people.
Go faster, dead horse. It is really cool that they're able to take existing technology and add improvements with what they have. It almost reminds me a little bit of Tesla, where they issued a software update to their car and it was able to accelerate faster, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit more fancy in that. They're going to have to do
100%.
upgrades. They actually have to do... So, for example, in the case of Comcast, in order to do what they want to do with full duplex, they have to remove amplifiers from their network and go to a node plus 0 model in order to have signal levels and different variant and factors like that within like specification.
Yeah.
And it's also going to require like equipment to be replaced at the node to take advantage of that extended spectrum.
Okay.
But the good news is that these are all things that don't need to happen at the house, which means if I upgrade one node, I'm basically affecting like 30 homes all at once, right? They don't actually have to come in and replace the coax in the house because most people have or should have at this point coax that can handle this extended spectrum range unless you were like someone that had cable all the way back in like 1960. So,
yeah.
So that's why it's good. It can happen a little bit faster. And also, what's cool about some of the upgrades they're doing is we talked about how Dish and Verizon were like virtualizing their network core for managing, for different things. Comcast is taking the similar approach with the standard. They're going all virtual on their network management, which is exciting because it means that the network should get smarter. And it means that if we have an instance like this with COVID, for example, where we see all of a sudden everybody's back at home using their network traffic that way, they should be able to easily reallocate spectrum and bandwidth to residential homes to handle the traffic versus a traditional sense where you had to have tech come out and do the upgrades like on the site. That can all happen remotely like that. So our networks are getting smarter, they're getting more redundant, and it's cool that that's being developed. And I just thought it was pretty incredible that they were able to achieve 4 gig symmetrical over such a old technology.
I think it is absolutely incredible. I haven't really historically been a huge fan of Comcast. I know they're sometimes known for having less than quality customer service, but the technology here is actually really cool with what they're doing. Like I'm happy to see that.
Oh, I'm not a fan of Comcast at all. I'm just a realist in the fact that most people that have broadband internet probably have it from their local cable monopoly. And since that's
their
probably
local cable monopoly.
I mean, Comcast
it's true.
Comcast is the monopoly in my apartment. I literally can't get anybody else. But yeah, since the only options for internet, good internet, is from your cable operator, I'm just glad that something that is actually reasonable to happen in like a semi near future can occur, versus like the pipe dream of fiber to the home for all. Like, that's going to be...
what's nice, like as you mentioned, they go to one node, they do the upgrades, you're affecting 30 homes, and they don't need to run fiber, which is super expensive for them. So they can do upgrades, help make their existing infrastructure better and faster, which I hope they do.
Yep, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Hopefully we might hear it actually go live in some beta city like Philadelphia, since that's where they're headquartered or something. I don't know.
Speaking of networks going live, look at that segue. We had pretty huge news from Dish and from Amazon recently. This was really cool to see. So Dish has announced that they are going to be launching their 5G network later this year, and it's going to be in Las Vegas, which is awesome. And what we know is they're partnering with Amazon. So they're using the Amazon Web Services cloud infrastructure. That's going to be playing a role in Dish's standalone 5G network. We've kind of talked about it with hosts in the past, but what's cool is Dish doesn't necessarily have to go through the process of like putting up cell towers, building legacy technology, then having to go back to those sites to upgrade them. They can instead start fresh. They can start by using what's called an open radio access network, or Open RAN approach. And this can really have huge benefits for their network in terms of making the network more agile, easier to operate, more friendly, and easier to plug and play with. So I'm really excited to see that. And yeah, 5G, their agreement with the FCC is they need to have 5G cover 20% of the US population by June 2022 and 70% by June 2023. So we'll see. One city in Las Vegas isn't really a huge step there, but I think it'll be really cool. You'll be able to connect your phone to a network that'll say Dish. And Amazon's part of this too. I mean, they're working here. They're using their Amazon Web Services cloud, and this is what's going to be, Dish is going to be running their 5G RAN on the Amazon Web Services infrastructure. And there's a bunch of cool tech going on here. Fierce Wireless had some excellent articles kind of covering what's going on, how this network is going to be structured, how this partnership is going to work. And Dish's stock has actually been up recently, which I think is pretty cool. Kind of showing. I did buy some, actually. I wish I had bought like 3 months ago, because like Dish has the greatest opportunity for growth right now. If you think about it, like everything about their network is speculative, and they also we don't know what's going to happen, but I think that means there's also the most room for growth.
Well, if we look at their track record as a company, back in like 2015, they used to be up to $72 a share. Right now, they're down at 41. So if we,
it could keep going down.
I mean, or they could bounce back up, which I think is possible, and probably I think that there's a 50-50 shot on it. There's a coin flip. If their cell phone business can do well, I think they'll actually go up and higher than they ever did with the cable business. But if they flop, then they might go bankrupt like Sprint.
Sure. Or they'll be bought by Amazon, which would in turn cause their stock to go up, because that's what happens when companies get bought.
Yeah, that would be cool. Doesn't Carlos live out in Vegas, by the way?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's in that area. I was actually I don't think Colorado's too far away. Like maybe it's 8 to 16 hour drive, something like that.
Ooh, I've been to Vegas once, and it was both a fun time and a nightmare at the same time due to various reasons. But if you want to go out to Vegas, Stetson, I am always down. Maybe we can wait till COVID. Maybe we can wait till I get my second shot of the Moderna, And
Yeah.
are you vaccinated?
I've had one Moderna, and I'm coming up on my second shot pretty soon here, actually.
All right, so once we get our second shot and we're immune, maybe we can make a trip out to Vegas, go eat at the Heart Attack Grill.
And try and connect to Dish's network. We'll find it. It might take us the entire, like, what if they only have one tower, Dennis, and it's only in like one spot?
And it's just like 5x5 band, like 2.
Whatever. Yeah, and it's not optimized, so you have to be like on one side of the tower. Oh man.
Does Dish even sell plans yet?
They don't. I mean, they own Boost Mobile and they own Ting, but they're not offering any Dish branded wireless plans. Oh, my camera turned off. So that's what's going on with Dish. I'm excited to see this, and we'll be following this closely, but it's hard to say, I think, what exactly is going to be happening.
Yeah. I'm just glad they're finally doing something. This is good.
Yeah, Dish is in the news, and it's not. It's decent news. I'm happy to see it.
Speaking of stocks that we were talking about from earlier, my friend, did you watch AT&T's quarterly earnings call?
So I didn't watch the call, but I was kind of reading up on what was going on, what people were saying about it. I think it stayed pretty level, and then I think it went up maybe later in the day after the earnings. But I think the problem is the outlook on AT&T, right? So they actually had a huge gains, over 500,000 subscribers. They had 595,000 postpaid phone customers during Q1 2021, which is huge. And Verizon actually lost 178,000 postpaid customers. So I wonder where those customers are going. And I think what's really cool to see here, right, Dennis, is this isn't a free line promo, right?
Right.
These are actual people
paying
to sign up for AT&T. And I think, what do you think is contributing to this?
I think it's clearly me. Obviously, me talking about AT&T's Elite plan is what did it. No, jokes aside, I think what's doing it is that with the merger that happened between T-Mobile and Sprint, there was probably a lot of disgruntled customers that had Sprint and were having a poor experience, and they probably looked around and shopped around, and AT&T had some of the most aggressive promotions for the iPhone 12 Pro Max that we've seen in a while. Stacked with that, they had the HBO Max deal going on with with all the movies coming out because of COVID, and they're price wise, so from a pricing standpoint, they're not that expensive. And I already told you too, they have a lot of discounts. Like when COVID was going on for teachers, I remember seeing ads about how we're in this for your community. If you're a teacher, get this plan for cheap or whatever. Or if you're a firefighter, get this plan for cheap. So I think that's the stuff. They went hard on the marketing, they went aggressive with the promotions, and they had a good price point that people probably were like, you know what, might as well try it.
I agree with that. I mean, clearly, with Verizon's loss, some people were churning going over to Verizon. And I think, for me, I think it's HBO Max, what they're offering with that streaming services, getting day one movie releases, I think is super cool. And I think possibly more importantly is their aggressive trade-in deal where existing AT&T customers and new AT&T customers, they could get the iPhone 12 for free by trading in their device. You would get up to $800 trading credit. That's enough for a free iPhone 12. And I think that really helped, reduce AT&T's churn, keep customers happy. They recently had announced their not build your own plan, but the
mix and
match. Thank you, Dennis, where you could select exactly what AT&T plan you wanted for each line on your account. So you could have one line getting that HBO Max perk, and then bump the others down to AT&T Unlimited Extra, save some money. And Dennis, as you mentioned, I think the single line pricing is expensive, but when you go into the multi-line territory, it actually drops pretty significantly and is much more reasonable.
No, even their single line. I mean, if you're a firefighter or a nurse or anything that gets on their signature program, I believe is what they call it, it's not bad. I mean, stack that with other discounts too. Like if you have AT&T Uverse. I mean, when we were doing the comparison, people were saying they were only paying $65 for one line of AT&T Unlimited Elite, which that's better than
that's
Essentials.
Amazing. Yeah. No, I mean 100%. I think the biggest question mark I think right now for AT&T is how they're going to bring down their debt, which is currently sitting at $169 billion.
Well, they could sell I think AT&T was actually selling. Well, I know they were selling off assets, but one of the ones I think they were talking about selling was Crunchyroll. They're staking Crunchyroll over to Sony. Which, if you're not familiar with Crunchyroll, Stetson, it's basically one of the biggest anime streaming platforms here in the U.S. So they should be able to get some good money for that. And then hopefully they can find some sad sap to buy DirecTV off them.
Or they could make a lot of original content and try and boost HBO Max. I don't know. I think AT&T they're primarily a wireless business, but they are also thinking they're a streaming business, and that's what they talk about most. So.
I mean, or they could just raise prices on people and try to generate more revenue.
They could do that. I think that would increase their churn. People would not be so happy about that.
Well, I mean, there's one area where I don't think people would switch. Their
Okay,
Uverse
what do you think that is?
Their Uverse product where they have like fiber.
Okay,
or for the
that's
sad
true.
people that have to have their DSL. Like we talked about with internet people being monopolies.
Yep.
I mean, there you go. You just jacked it up to like $100 for gig. No, $100 for 200 meg, make gig like 200. just overnight your ARPU has just quadrupled.
I guess that is true. That would be awful. I would feel so bad for everyone.
It's terrible and scummy, but I mean,
we'll see though. I think this is probably like this era, I would say, is probably like the closest race between the carriers that I've seen in a long time. I feel like with the LTE era, Verizon charged ahead. I personally felt AT&T was a close second with what they were offering. T-Mobile, bum last. Now, with this 5G era, I feel T-Mobile is creating the marketing hype, creating the buzz, and creating a little bit of disruption, some waves in the industry with their Magenta Max plan, their pricing structure, their free line promos, and things like that. And I'm really curious to see how AT&T and Verizon respond. And I feel like we haven't seen them respond yet. So hopefully that comes maybe this fall or next year when they start deploying their C-band millimeter wave or C-band mid-band 5G.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in a good healthy space. I think we'll be better off once AT&T gets their C-band from the auction and Verizon gets their C-band deployed. Right now I feel like it's a little bit too lopsided in T-Mobile's favor. Just from from an asset standpoint on the wireless side.
Oh, 100%. And T-Mobile knew that going in. Like that was their whole plan.
Yeah, I just also want to throw this out here, but I really wish the government would have stepped in and wouldn't have allowed T-Mobile to participate.
I mean, because they already had all the spectrum they needed, basically.
Right. I mean, they literally openly said their whole reason to go there was to jack up the costs, right?
Yeah.
Like, I would be much happier if Verizon had an extra $8 billion in their pocket to invest in the network than it going over to the FCC.
I definitely understand that. I mean, it is what it is. So, not sure. All right, Dennis. Here's a hot take from Eli Blumenthal on Twitter. AT&T teasing that it may bundle the ad-supported HBO Max with prepaid plans. Dennis, what do you think about that? Do you see this as something AT&T could possibly do?
I could see it. I could see it on that that $65 unlimited plan that we talked about. That was like really good.
Yeah, on the AT&T prepaid unlimited plus is what it's called.
Yeah, I could see them doing that for unlimited plus on the prepaid side. And I think that would be awesome. I think it would add extra value, and I think AT&T would do it to try to just say like, "Hey, look, HBO is growing to their investors," and
more people by default are just signed up for it.
Yeah, so I could see them doing that in the same way that Comcast gives Peacock to every Comcast customer, regardless if you're going to watch it or not, right?
Yeah. I could see AT&T doing. I don't know if it'll be free or if it'll be like discounted down to like $5 a month or something. But I would see maybe like, let's say it is $5. Maybe the AT&T prepaid unlimited plan gets a discount. Like, I don't know, you pay $250 or something, and then it's just straight bundled in with the AT&T prepaid unlimited plus plan. I could see that. I think
I could see it if it's ad supported. I could definitely see them being. Maybe they do it like this: free ad supported, but you don't get all the content. $5 gets you all the content, but like ads. And if you want like no ads, you have to pay like, I don't know, $15 or I mean, excuse me.
That it is 15, so maybe like 10. Would you get a discount?
10. Yeah, maybe something like that. I think if they are going to come out with an ad-based version, they might as well come out with a free version just altogether for everybody. Like,
Yeah, I mean that is how you get subscribers, right? You offer a sort of a freemium model. It's free, and then you just pay for no ads or extra content.
but do you really think it? Do you really? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this because like HBO to me has always been a premium streaming product or premium like product. Like you go to HBO because they've always made like amazing original content, right? Like The Sopranos, Game of Thrones, stuff that you just can't get on TV, right? For obvious
Yeah,
reasons.
yeah,
I don't know how I feel about them being motivated by advertisers. My fear is that they'll end up not making such dark, gory content to try to please advertisers, right? Like, who's gonna want to run an ad over Game of Thrones in the middle of, you know,
yeah,
Targaryen?
yeah.
You know,
So I definitely can see that. My understanding from what I've heard so far is I don't know if it's like HBO original content, but like some specific content won't have ads, and then some shows will get the ads. And yeah, to your point, like what's surprising to me is they're not offering HBO Max with AT&T Unlimited Extra to any capacity right now. You're not getting a discount, and you're not getting anything. It's only with the Elite plan that you're getting it. So I think if they were to offer another version, like I would see them offering it with more plans to some capacity as well. Like if it comes to prepaid, it should probably be coming to extra to some capacity, whether it's a discount or you're getting that ad supported model.
yeah. I mean, do they even need to? Though? I mean, their prepaid market segment. If you want the AT&T network, they already know they got the best option. Like, do they
They
even
do have
have?
some of the best, yeah, with their especially with their $25 annual plan, 8 gigs with rollover, all the features you want. It's pretty decent.
So I mean, like, do they even need to? Is the question.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, maybe I could see it like this is them boosting HBO Max more than them trying to make their prepaid plans more appealing. That's my hot take.
Fair, fair.
You want to end off the show with some Patreon questions?
Yeah, I was just you read my mind. I was gonna say hit me with some Patreon questions, Stetson.
All right. First one comes from Chase. Chase, thank you for your support. Chase is asking if you could use only one network for everything, traveling, speed, reliability, who would it be and why?
AT&T.
Going AT&T. Why do you say AT&T?
AT&T because they have the pretty much the most coverage at this point, or it's very close to Verizon's in terms of overall coverage, but they also have generally pretty consistent speeds with plenty of capacity on the network, and their plans are a nice middle of the road. Like, I personally think AT&T Elite plan is the absolute best. I know Stetson disagrees and thinks Magenta Max is probably better, but regardless, it's still a fantastic plan that lets you make use of that awesome network. And from a pricing standpoint, they're actually technically a little bit cheaper than Magenta Max in the case of me because of my dad's discounts.
So for you personally, you're sticking with AT&T. You're getting that awesome network and great speed and reliability.
Yep, they're just all around better, cheaper, faster. There's no reason
Sure.
not to pick them in my circumstance.
Well, Chase, Dennis, I think that's a great answer. While I was thinking about it, something crossed my mind. And when you said traveling, what got me thinking was international traveling. And so my answer is actually US Mobile. Reason I'm saying US Mobile is you're getting blanket coverage across the US with Verizon's LTE network. Yes, it's congested in some areas, but you will have signal, and I feel like that's pretty important. And the bigger reason is US Mobile includes up to 10 gigs of free international data with their plans. This can be either their $15 5 gig plan all the way up to their $45 unlimited plan. So I think if I were to choose just one, I would go US Mobile. I think you're getting good coverage domestically on the Verizon network, and you're getting good coverage internationally with these eSIM perks, which is awesome. Okay, next we have Evan asking, now that both Verizon and AT&T have had their Q1 2020 investor days, what do you think, based on what they said, is going to have a better network in the years ahead? Evan,
I
that's a
think
great question.
Verizon.
Thank you. Dennis, I agree with you. I think Verizon is investing more in their networks, and I think they bought the C-band to like really bring that to a whole new level.
I mean, they literally have 100 megahertz of continuous spectrum that is like prime and delicious across the country. and they got the money to back it up in the bank right now.
100%.
So I think it's Verizon. I think I think I want to rephrase this just a little bit though. I don't think there's going to be the disparity that people think there's going to be between the networks in the future. I honestly think that all the networks are going to reach some type of equilibrium where they're all good enough, and we'll fall right back to where we are today, where you're going to have some spots that are better than others.
Yeah.
But if we're talking overall market leader, I think it'll be Verizon once again.
I agree with you. That's my gut instinct. Although I would almost say now, like, pretty much all the networks are good, and it just kind of depends, like, where you live. And I don't know. I agree, though. Verizon, my money's on Verizon. All right. Oseriton U asks, with 5G in its current state, is it worth jumping on a plan like the T-Mobile Magenta Max now or later?
I think it's worth jumping on the Magenta Max plan, not because of 5G, but because it's a really good plan. In the same way that I jumped on the One Plus plan way back in the day to be grandfathered into it, even though my coverage wasn't good, because I knew in the future that it would get better. And I think the same case would happen with Magenta Max. And as I talked about way back when we had Sneed on, my money is that Magenta Max gets more expensive with time. So better to get on the grandfather rate now and enjoy 5G once it does come to you.
I would say I don't think it's worth switching to a 5G plan right now just for 5G. I don't think 5G is there yet. And in many cases, when you're on low band 5G, the speeds on LTE are often faster. That's especially true on the Verizon network, where they're actually starting to deploy CBRS on LTE in some markets, specifically New York. So I would say no. I mean, I think really this year, when the iPhone gets the X60 modem and we start to see the X65 modem make its appearance or debut next year, I think that's when, I mean, you're going to have mid-band start being deployed, and I think the carriers are going to get that out. So that's I would say no, but to Dennis's point, like Magenta Max is still a really good plan if you're looking for that premium option. Depends on what your needs are.
I feel like I basically feel like it's like two separate questions, right? Like one's talking about the current state of 5G, which I agree with you, Stetson. 5G is not like
yeah, like don't get it for 5G, but Dennis, to your point,
plan.
Yeah. All right. Max Tech Studios. Max, thank you for your support and your question. If you made an MVNO, what would it be like? Plans, network, etc. We talked about this one.
We did. We had two separate plans. Me was like true unlimited, but like a speed tier model.
Multi-network too. That was the huge perk.
Yeah, I think I combined AT&T, T-Mobile, if I remember correctly, and I charged like $100 because it was like super uber premium.
Yep.
And then for you went like the total opposite route with like super budget. Like
yeah. Okay. All right. So Max, my new theory or new model, which I don't think is profitable at all, and we've already talked with Roger. Like MVNO margins are super slim. I would probably put myself out of business. But this new model would be you buy the data and you just keep it and use it. So we kind of see this with TracFone, where you can buy the data, but it's like an annual plan. I would say like take US Mobile's pricing, $15 for 5 gigs. You pay the $15 and you can use that until your 5 gigs is gone. Like forget 30-day renewal rates. You renew your plan when you run out of data. And so sometimes your data will last you longer. Sometimes you may need to renew more frequently. That's my new idea. I think that'd be pretty affordable for consumers.
There's no way that will work.
Why?
Because you're not going to literally your plan like for the people that would sign up for that plan, it would be very low data users, which means they're buying off you like once maybe every like year and a half. So you're not going to have enough revenue.
I would put myself out of business to make an affordable plan, Dennis. But on a serious note, I would literally just copy Mint Mobile and then paste them on the Verizon network. Like we need Mint Mobile on the Verizon network.
Yeah.
Excuse me, the Mint Mobile on the AT&T network. I misspoke.
That would be pretty good. For me, if I was gonna make an MVNO, since T-Mobile came out with this Magenta Max plan, I would just do something kind of like what I talked about from before, like a premium offering, just straight up unlimited hotspot, unlimited data. Period. Probably would throw that puppy on the AT&T network once again, and I would probably charge like I don't know 70, 80, no, like $85, but it would just be like basically it'd be business elite, business AT&T Elite, but sold to you for the
Sounds
same
great.
pricing.
Yeah, AT&T probably has the network capacity for that too. So,
Yeah.
All right, and last Patreon question is from Chame. Is that a possibility to have a plan which roams simultaneously on all Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, OG, Sprint, and Dish networks?
Not possible.
It is not possible.
Because for multiple reasons, but like, I mean, one of them has to do with socks, basically, like how you would code that plan. The second problem is the spectrum that the carriers use. Not all of it can play nicely with each other, so it's not like you'd be able to have carrier aggregation. And most phones don't. There's very few phones that have support for literally everybody's networks. So that's another problem.
And I think the other problem is like when you buy phones are like carrier locked, and so this like if you were to try and have a carrier that could use all of them, like it's not they don't play nice. They don't play nice.
Does not play nice at all.
It'd be sweet though. We can
And
aspire to that.
And it's expensive.
It would be wicked expensive. That's why I made Dennis up his price on his last plan to $100.
Yeah,
even though most plans are like, yeah.
But if I just did AT&T by itself, you would let me get away with 85.
I mean, yeah, they're charging 85 right now, so why not?
Cool. But
Sweet.
All right, so guys, we're going to be doing an after show. So basically, stay tuned for that. We're going to be doing that right after the podcast. And that is where we'll be interacting with you guys. Stetson, do you have anything you want to say to our awesome fans before we end the show?
Yes, I would like to thank everyone for joining us on the live stream of this podcast. I want to thank all of our Patreons for their continued support. We really do appreciate that. That makes a huge difference for us. And if you're listening to this podcast, please consider giving us a rating on Apple Podcasts. I forget sometimes that this is actually like a podcast. So rate us there. Share this podcast with one friend. And if you want to like talk with us directly, just literally join us for the after show. We go live on YouTube on Thursdays, typically around 7 p.m. Eastern. So you can join us there. Either way,
Stetson,
Dennis.
You forgot one more important thing. Tell them about this Saturday.
This Saturday, we are doing a Patreon-only exclusive live stream / after show. We'll be hanging out. We'll be talking, honestly, about whatever. Cell phone plans, TVs, Dennis's epic network that he's building in his home, what we would do if we were to build an MVNO. I don't know.
And how do they get to be a part of that? How do they get to be there? You can
join the Patreon at the link in the video description, in the show notes, patreon.com/StetsonDoggett. Again, that's patreon.com/StetsonDoggett. We appreciate your support. And a new perk that I'm starting and actually following is you can vote on what video comes next on the channel, which is really cool. The last vote was for the best Verizon unlimited plans, so you can bet that's going to be the next video to hit the channel. All right. I think we should close it on out. That's been it for the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Stetson.
And I'm Dennis.
And we look forward to talking to you in the next episode.
Peace, guys.
Bye.